it says, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? I don't know what's going on, so we're about to find out. Let's debug this. All right, so an issue that I actually came across is I had to travel, so I haven't been at my desk for like a week, and during that time frame I wasn't using my server, so I wasn't running OpenCode or Claude or anything. Anyways, I just recently logged in, and in doing so, well, now OpenCode is replying back to me more than once. So even if I just say hi, it says, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? I don't know what's going on, so we're about to find out. Let's debug this. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do, we're going to SSH into the box. So let's do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use Claude Code to debug it, because I typically run OpenCode. I prefer OpenCode. OpenCode is just so much easier to handle different sessions. You can also look at the different, or you can change the different models that you're going to be running. So I definitely just prefer it. But, you know, sometimes you have to kind of bounce back and forth between, you know, different terminal applications or whatever you use to run your agents. So yeah, so let's cd, let's see, projects, temp, and then we'll do, actually, let's just do history. I do have, okay, I think this was the last Claude session I was running, so we could just do, okay. All right, so I'm going to show you actually what I'm getting, or what I mean. So let's just go ahead and SSH into the box. All right, so there's a couple of different apps that I use to run everything. One of them is tmux. Tmux lets me open up different terminal windows because I run everything on a server. I prefer the server over running things locally. All right, so I jumped into Claude, and I told Claude, I need some help, man. I have OpenCode installed on the machine, and I get some weird behavior. It's repeating responses, so it did some investigative work. Actually, let me show you an example of what it's doing. So what I normally do is I run OpenCode web, and that'll run the server. And then what I can do is it's Cortex, just navigate to, oh, I can't. So the very first thing I actually have to do is I need to forward the port to my machine. And the port is 4096 actually. So we'll have to forward the port on the server to the machine locally, or my local setup that I have here. All right, now that I'm there, I can actually view that web page that is on the remote server. Okay, let the sucker load. All right, so as you can see here, right, this is, I just said hi. And the thing came back and said, hi, how are you? How can I help you today? Hi, what would you like with today? How can I help you today? Hi, what can I help you? And this thing goes on forever, man. I mean, did I even know how many times? And what are you trying to do, man? In fact, I just said hi, and I said when I run OpenCode web, you know, OpenCode repeating itself, this thing went out and just, I don't even know what it was trying to like figure out. It got super stuck. So yeah, so okay, so check this out. Looks like Claude Code, right? They're all using the same LLM, first of all. It's all using DeepSeek. It says here that there's a cascade of WebSocket reconnection. So 6 connections that are on 3 minutes. It causes user messages to be processed 15 plus times. And I noticed, like, I just say hi and it costs me 5 cents. And it's crazy. Like, the thing doesn't start repeating itself and I have to kill the process. Say hi. Oh, he said hi, bro. He didn't say nothing else. Oh. Let's try it again. That's working. All I have to do is change the port. OpenCode web, huh? Okay, so anyways, what we might just end up doing is just running OpenCode server instead of OpenCode web, because I guess the server is trying to open up a web browser on the server, and obviously there's no web browser on the server. All right, so moment of truth, man. All right, so this thing's basically telling me, so run OpenCode serve, and I'll run it on the default port. So let's do that. Watch here, OpenCode serve, still on the remote machine, running it on the default port, 4096, and then what I have to do here, I need to forward the port 4096. Let's do that. Okay. The nice thing is I'm not getting all those like error messages. So let's come here. Let's reload a new session 4096. Like, just give me something clean. We're going to create a new session. Hi. How are you? Man, it looks like we are back in business. Total cost, so 0 cents. I mean, something super simple. Do a new session, doing a test. Dude, and it's fast. Okay. All right. Bug fixed.